Political imagination, which is always useful. We need leaders, brave, bold leaders who can break through. And that is the case of the European Court of Human Rights and the whole of the mechanism of the protection of human rights. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your question will make me disregard what I have written in preparation for this roundtable. Yes, there were many rulings of the European Court of Human Rights which were problematic to carry on in reality, in cases against Bosnia and Herzegovina, in cases against Bulgaria and many others. It is a problem. It is a problem of the European network of institutions and the implementation of international law within the framework of the European Convention on Human Rights. It is very difficult to answer your questions because the cases are different. They are not the same. They have their specific aspects, and such aspects should be taken into account. Let me remind you of the first case against Bosnia and Herzegovina, Sejdic and Finci. Mr. Ivanic knows that better than I do, but because I was not in the formation. And it posed a certain obligation upon Bosnia and Herzegovina as a member state of the Council of Europe to implement the ruling. It wasn't that easy, but I remember talking to the then judge for Bosnia and Herzegovina, my colleague Ljiljana Mijovic, who explained to me, and I cannot repeat it because it was very complicated, very sophisticated, that the politicians have reached some sort of conclusion how to implement that judgment of the European Court of Human Rights. It was complicated, but it was possible, but nothing came out of it, much to our regret, I must say. And then there were other rulings, so it is very difficult because it's a problem of the international level and the national level of jurisdiction. And when a government is supposed to do something, it raises problems within a member state. I'll give you an example. There was a ruling about the situation in prisons in Italy. And Italy was required to introduce some improvements, etc., etc. Then the Italian government protested, saying, yes, but we want to be the decision makers within our budget. We want to pay for the schools or something else, or military equipment, who cares? We do not have the money for the prisons. So you see, it's very complex. An international institution, an international court, by way of rendering judgments, intervenes into the internal politics of a member state. Where is the frontier? How should we deal with that? It is very difficult to say, and perhaps the new generations will be much more inventive than we were. It was first of all an achievement to make an individual claim his rights before an international tribunal. We should not underestimate that. And now we are in another sort of, in another round, so to speak, how to improve the mechanism. But the mechanism has also other problems. I'm speaking of the mechanism of the European Court of Human Rights. One of the great problems is that Russia left the family of the member states. They were dissatisfied with the rulings against the Russian state, the Russian government. And it's a pity that they left. and I'm very pessimistic about the possibility that they rejoin the Council of Europe, especially the European Court of Human Rights. Therefore, we need new perspectives, new horizons to open, and we should think of imagination, political imagination, which is always useful. We need leaders, brave, bold leaders who can break through. And that is the case of the European Court of Human Rights and the whole of the mechanism of the protection of human rights in Europe. Thank you.